And now it's time to draw the human head, or even the inhuman head. Most everyone can draw heads and faces of some sort, but now we're going to find out how to do them right, the Marvel way. Profile first. It should generally fit into a square with just the nose and part of the chin protruding. The eyes usually come midway in the skull, between the top of the dome and the bottom of the chin. Now, dividing the skull into 4 even quarters from top to bottom, the nose will usually be in the second quarter, up from the chin, with the ears falling at about the same level.
Now the front view. Notice the head isn't a perfect oval because the jaw has a slope, which makes the bottom of the skull considerably narrower than the top. Look at these heads from different angles. Once you're familiar with the construction, you'll be able to draw the head in any imaginable position.
Let's begin with some basic tips. Heads are generally 5 eyes wide, with 1 eye distance between the 2 eyes. To determine the width of the mouth, draw lines from the bridge of the nose touching the outside of the nostrils, and where they cross the mouth line, that is the width of the mouth. Then, draw 2 more lines starting underneath the nose. They should run through the lower lip, right where it starts to turn up, and where those lines touch the bottom of the head, eureka! That's the width of the chin.
At this stage, keep your heads simple. No extra lines in the forehead or around the nose and chin. Keep the nose small and the chin strong and firm. Don't let the hair just lie there. Give it body, thickness. Keep the mouth simple. Notice the curve of the upper lip, and just a small, simple line for the lower lip.
As you can see, there are many different types of good-looking males, be they human, amphibian, or whatever. Practice the basic rules. There are, of course, lots of variations, but if you stick to the principles, you'll be able to make any character heroic-looking, no matter what his origin or facial expression. Drawing the good guys is somewhat formularized, but the bad guys, hey, that's a different story. Here's where you can let your imagination run wild. As you know, your average vile and vicious villain comes in all sizes and categories. So, when creating the head, you can use any shape that grabs you, square, round, wide, whatever. But just make sure that his look complements his personality. And speaking of personalities, let's turn our attention to the beautiful but difficult to draw Marvel women. Fortunately, John is almost without peer when it comes to portraying sensuous femme fatales, and here's proof.
Remember the 5 basic steps, beginning with a profile. First, the head is drawn within an imaginary square. Then locate the eyes halfway down the face like this. Now you have a benchmark for the eye and the nose. Note how the nose tilts out and up from the skull, and it's rather short. Using a soft, curved line, place the cheek from the ear to the front of the skull, halfway between the bottom of the nose and the bottom of the chin.
Notice also how John places the mouth well forward from the skull. Notice, too, that the lower lip is fuller than the upper lip, while the upper lip juts out farther forward. Also, see the angle line showing the relationship between the lips, the nose, and the chin.
Now draw the lady's eyebrow, but not too low, and employ a graceful curve like this. Bring the chin forward and find the proper positioning of the nostril by drawing a straight line from the mouth to the eye line.
I told you drawing the Marvel women is more difficult than drawing the male heroes, but stick with us because it does get easier. Keep the forehead rounded, never flat. Make the eyelashes a solid mass. Don't try and draw each little lash. And keep the lady's hair full and fluffy. I mean, after all, this is a Marvel woman you're drawing, pal.
Now we'll show you how to draw a front view like this. First, start with a well-proportioned egg shape. Don't worry if it takes a few tries to get the shape right.
Draw the usual eye line midway on the skull. Placing the eyes on the line is a breeze when you remember the skull is 5 eyes wide and there's 1 eye width between them.
Now draw the lines from the outside of the eyes to the center line of the head. Here is where you make your cheek lines and indicate the area for the mouth.
This is the home stretch, folks. About a third of the way up from the top of the lip to the eye line, indicate the nose. Place graceful eyebrows well above the eyes and sketch the ears, preferably one on each side of the head. Sharpen your pencils, because here is where the real drawing begins. There's no shortcut for this. You've got to really draw the gal's nose. Following Johnny's exquisite example, always make certain that the nose is a little narrower than the width of 1 eye, and make sure that it tilts upward.
Once the nose is done, you find the width of the mouth by drawing lines from the top of the nose past the nostrils. The upper and lower lip are positioned by continuing the cheek line through the mouth area.
And all that remains is to add a gorgeous head of hair and erase your guidelines.
Notice again that the eyelashes are a solid mass, and the eyes are slightly higher at the outside than they are at the inside corners. And there she is. It's not so hard if you remember that one little word, practice.
Naturally, being able to draw a head is really only a part of it. The big thing is to animate it, to put interesting expressions on the face.
These female heads were all constructed exactly like the one we just did. But notice how I can change the expression simply by making slight alterations in the mouth, the eyes, and the eyebrows. You can master it, too, if you follow these simple tips.
Keep the female face simple. Use no extra expression lines on the forehead or around the mouth or nose. Study your own face in the mirror. Oh, hi there. Well, practice making different expressions and see what happens to your face when you do. Study those expressions. You know, most artists are their own best models. The nice thing about it, the only equipment you need is a mirror and, of course, a face.
As far as expressions go, virtually the same rules apply both to male and female heads. So watch this segment repeatedly and apply the same principles to the various male characters you may wish to draw. It's fun to change the rules and be creative, but you have to master the rules first.
Let's say a story calls for a sophisticated villainess. Well, make the jawline a bit more angular and give the eyebrows a more sinister arch. Also, raise the outside corners of the eyes and straighten the nose just a bit. See the difference? She's still great looking, but by varying the rules just slightly, we've made her different altogether. And look at those swingy earrings for sophistication. Jewelry, clothes, hairdos, and other accessories help create the proper mood.
If you want to age her a bit, simply round out the jawline. Add a slight double chin, and with just one curved line under each eye, you can give the feeling of puffiness. Notice, too, that the earrings are smaller, also suggesting maturity.
Let's review a couple of things to make sure you've got it down right. This is what the correct marvel eye should look like. Note the graceful curve of the eyebrow, and the eyelashes, as we mentioned, are a single soft mass. The eye itself tilts upwards just slightly. Whoever drew this eye was certainly not a graduate of the Marvel School. Individual eyelashes and eyes too long and narrow, they're definite no-nos. And if you let your eyes droop and draw eyebrows as a single curve, well, you're no Marvel artist.
A proper Marvel nose tilted upward and with small nostrils. In contrast, this nose is tilted up too much and the nostrils are too big. This one has bumps. A Marvel nose is always one smooth line, and the tip should not dip.
There is one word for how a mouth should look: pleasing. Bow lips are out this season, and every season at Marvel. And don't draw angular lips. There's no grace or softness to them.
This is a Marvel mouth and chin. See how the upper lip is placed farther forward than the lower one. It's firm, but don't put the upper lip too far forward or make it too thin. And don't draw a weak chin. This chin arrives 10 minutes ahead of the rest of the head. And the lips are too thick, with the lower lip jutting too far forward. Everything in your picture must work in harmony to produce a whole.
Otherwise, things such as eyes, noses, chins, and lips will draw attention to themselves at the expense of the rest of your drawing.
Put it all together, and no matter what angle the head is in, the nose is always tilted up just slightly. The eyebrow has a fluid curve, and the lips are pleasingly full and soft.
I know it takes work, but look at the results. Learn, practice, master the rules, and who knows? Maybe someday I'll be doing a video with you, and John will be out there taking notes. Could happen.